Welcome to Daddy vs. Doctor. Here are your hosts, pediatrician Dr. Scott Cohen and comedian Sebastian Maniscalco.
All right, welcome to Daddy vs. Doctor. Dr. Scott Cohen, Sebastian Maniscalco, coming at you live from Los Angeles. Talking off camera here about traditions. Holidays are coming up, Thanksgiving in particular. And I wanted to talk to you because I think you came over last week, and I want to start with some medical stuff.
Okay.
Seraphina had an outer ear infection on Monday.
Yep.
And we actually did a podcast while that was happening. Right. And she had stayed home from school the next day, and you had said that normally you
wouldn't stay home for outer ear infections.
No.
Yeah. And I made fun of you, and I was totally wrong.
She was complaining of her ear hurting.
Mm-hmm.
You then came by on Friday. You looked at it and said, "Oh, it's worse."
Yeah.
Right. It was an inner ear infection.
And it was different. It was different, which I was surprised. Because outer ear infections don't technically become inner ear infections. Inner ear infections are due to some underlying, usually you have a cold and you have fluid in the inner ear, and then that becomes a secondary infection. Her outer ear infection was much better. And then she had a raging inner ear infection, which needs oral antibiotics. Drops aren't going to work.
Well, I'm sorry. Sorry for everybody out there. When it was explained to me on Friday that she has a inner ear infection, the word raging was left out.
Raging. It was red. She's better, I assume, right?
Yeah, she's better.
Much better. Yeah. So she may have had the beginnings of one or early inner ear infection at the beginning that wasn't full blown, and we were treating the outer, and then the inner got worse at some point that week. I mean, she looked good that week, but from Monday to Friday, something changed. I've seen kids on a morning that complain of ear pain that don't have an ear infection, and hours later do. I mean, they can progress fast.
Okay, so when you say, oh, that's not typical of that happening.
Well, one causing the other. I would have just expected that she would have other cold symptoms or something else brewing before she had the inner ear infection. So, they could be related. They could be two totally different things. Outer ear infections are a different type of infection. The inner ear infection is a different type of cause than that. You can have a combination of both. It's possible. But, you can have a little fluid with any cold. And that fluid, when somebody has a cold, people have fluid in their ears, and that fluid can be there for up to 3 months after, and that's normal. And most of the time, nothing comes of that. And when we look in the ear, you'll see the window, which is called the tympanic membrane, and it will be clear, and sometimes you'll see some clear fluid behind that, and that's absolutely normal, and that will resolve on its own. Sometimes the window will look a little opaque or even a little red, and maybe there's a little, the fluid behind it looks a little more purulent or like yellow. And same thing, it's sometimes you watch it because 80% are viral, and if you give it a couple days, they'll go away. And then some progress into a full-blown ear infection where that window looks really red, dull. You don't get a light reflex through it, and then there's thick pus behind it. And by the time I saw it Friday, that's what it looked like.
Right. So when you look in a kid's ear, have you ever, what do you call the
otoscope?
The otoscope. You ever put that in there and look in a kid's ear and go, whoa?
No.
You got to clean your ears.
Oh, clean the ears?
Have you ever seen like stuff hanging in the ear?
Yeah.
And do you ever tell a parent, you really should start cleaning the kid's ears?
No, I mean, there are kids like you just even start to go in and you see thick wax. I don't know. For me, it's sort of like Dr. Pimple Popper. Getting wax out of ears is very cathartic for me. We have a little scooper, so you can see, and then you go in and you scoop the wax out. And some kids, parents will take pictures because sometimes it looks like an ear pod that you pulled out. And you can imagine, they're not hearing well. You basically have cotton balls in your ears, and then you get it out. Very cathartic.
Well,
do you like it? Do you like when you get wax out of your ear?
Well, I was 28 years old, and I felt like my hearing was suffering. I don't know what was going on with it. And I kept hearing about people doing these like kind of ear flushes.
Ear lavage.
Yeah. So I went in, right? This woman took out a beehive out of my ear. Right? It was, I don't know, years of whatever, like
built up.
It could be like driving with the listen. This is
Your
my
body
theory.
naturally makes it. No, your skin exogenously.
Driving with the window open. A lot of dust getting in there over the years. 28 years of dust from the window. That's what I attributed it to. But you're right. When it came out, you could almost hear it just.
Right.
And it was like,
nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I mean, think about all those commercials now for like all those devices that get wax area. We never had that with our kids. This has become big business. I think people like the feeling because think about a business that makes billions of dollars on something you're actually not supposed to do, right? Q-tips. Everybody says don't use Q-tips. Everybody owns Q-tips. I use Q-tips. You use Q-tips. But in kids, because the ear canals are already small, what ends up happening is when you use a Q-tip, if there's wax in there, you end up pushing it just further in and deeper. Wax will naturally come out. And that's why actually in kids, you often see parents will often come in and say they always have some yellow stuff. I see it because it makes its way out, and then in the shower it washes away. And then we tell parents we don't want you to go after it. I mean, you can go on the outside with your finger or a wet Q-tip or a washcloth, but don't go further than you can see it because you end up pushing it in. And then if I see it, because really the only reason to remove it is if I can't see past it or the child's complaining of hearing issues, then we take it out.
All right.
Cerumen impaction is what it's called. Cerumen wax impaction it's in there. That's what it's called medically.
Okay.
So when you have that, you can say I have cerumen impaction.
I won't remember that.
Like now.
If you haven't finished your holiday shopping yet, don't panic. There is still time to find incredible original gifts with the help of Uncommon Goods. UncommonGoods.com has the absolute best gifts for everyone in your life. We're talking moms, dads, teens, in-laws, besties, your one and only. And it's not stuff you can find just anywhere. Uncommon Goods has unique and creative gifts, often handmade by independent artists and makers. So skip the gifts that scream last minute and find something truly original at UncommonGoods.com. I was just shopping for holiday gifts on Uncommon Goods today, and I can't believe the variety of amazing items there. Puzzles, candy, socks, crystals, a whiskey escape room puzzle box. Uncommon Goods has a gift for everyone on your list. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out-of-the-ordinary gifts anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/DVD. That's uncommongoods.com/DVD for 15% off. Don't miss out this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary.
Here's I want to get your take on this. Speaking of children and Caruso had a cough last night.
Yeah.
My theory last night was I'm going to take him in the steam room before he goes to bed.
Okay.
We went in the steam room, and I've taken him in a year and a half ago when he was like 2.5. And he didn't, I had to carry him. And he got hot. He's like, I gotta get out of here. Yesterday, and him and I in the steam room, he looked like Frank Sinatra in there.
Your brother's just in there, white towel around your neck, naked, hair in your chest like this. Yeah, I get it.
He's like, this is good, Daddy. I like this. We should do this every night. Now, I put a little eucalyptus in the air.
Okay.
Said, breathe it in, right? Breathe it in.
Right.
No cough today. Steamer?
Yeah, I mean, we do steam shower. Steamer, my only concern, just making sure it's not too hot and he doesn't overheat. You can judge that. But we do that for coughs. I mean, coughs, I would say, are the most common complaint by parents in the wintertime because they last forever. And everybody's looking for a reason, to fix. And usually, unfortunately, it's viral. And then it lasts 3 to 4 weeks. That's normal. Goes away for a day or two, and then they catch something else. and it continues. So basically from September to March, they have a cough. And we tell people, well, what do you want to look for? If you've never been listened to and you've had a chronic cough, it's good that somebody listens to the lungs to make sure there's no secondary infection, pneumonia, wheezing, asthma, something like that. Or if you had a cough for a long time and then you get new fever, you have to think, what caused the fever? What new thing happened, right? You can get a virus and you get new fever. Maybe it turned into a secondary infection like bacterial pneumonia and you need antibiotics. In general, though, if they're acting fine, their lungs are clear, they're not having fever, and they have intermittent cough, unfortunately in the wintertime, there's really not much to do. So kids over 4, we do like over-the-counter cough and cold medicines. I tell them, yeah, you run a humidifier or vaporizer, you could steam up the shower. You elevate their head because, coughs are always worse at night when they lay back, the postnasal drip, and the coughs are always really wet and rattly. And you put your hand on their chest, you feel the vibrations, and rightfully so. That's why people think, oh, it's in the chest, but it's usually not. It's usually upper airways. And because the upper airways are small, it resonates through like an instrument. So you feel it here, but it's not here. So we try it.
So that theory, and I grew up with Vicks on the chest.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
or
love
the feet. There's a feet thing.
one. I know it's look, and I remember, and it smells good and it feels like opening things up. I'd rather them do the humidifier vaporizer without Vicks. There is a thought, some of the ingredients in some of those things like Vicks actually can cause spasm of the airway in some kids and cause issues. Is that common? No. So in general, I don't know how much it helps. I would just do it without it. And then things like, croup, that barky cough. That's actually the first thing we say. You wake up with the barky cough. It happens always in the middle of the night. It's scary because the child wakes up and they're, and you think they can't breathe. And we tell them, go into a steamed up shower for a couple minutes, loosen all the secretions, and then actually go stand outside in the cold air. The cold air actually opens up the airway, and that resolves it. When kids get rushed to the emergency room, the first thing we do is we put a mask on of like vaporized cold air, and sometimes that opens up the airway.
Yeah. I'm sticking by the steam room.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's gone.
It not gone. It was there, but I felt like the steam room, and I feel the steam room is a wonderful way to connect with your son. And I gotta tell you why. You're in a closed environment. There's no toys. Yeah, there's steam, but then I shut the steam off, and we had a little conversation.
What did you talk about?
Halloween.
What'd
you think of Halloween? Like it? And then he kept talking about, this is great, Daddy. I really like it in here. I hosed him off. I just gave him I hosed him off. No, I gave him a shower in the steam room. I had like a little wand, a little shampoo on him. And this is what I've been doing with him. And I know kids, when you give them a shower or a bath, the hair is always kind of the iffy part because of the soap in the eyes and whatnot.
What do you do?
I shampooed his hair, vigorously right? Okay. I took a wash rag, I soaped him down, put it all over his face, right? And then without warning, I come in with the hose, and it's almost like waterboarding a kid, but I mean I just, it's all over.
Get it done with.
Get it done with.
Yeah.
Because I feel like okay, we're gonna rinse your hair. It's like, oh, okay, he's gonna, this is that. And he goes, oh, my eyes, and then boom, I got it in again. Done.
And that kid's got good hair.
His hair.
I mean, maybe one
I got
of the
my
best.
hands. I caught in it yesterday. That's how thick it is.
It's phenomenal. One of the best hair. and the dude, when he does the fade sides and the over, I mean, he should be a professional soccer player.
No, he's going to be. If I have anything to say about it. Speaking of soccer, I took my dad, talk about generations, right? And we started talking, me and my dad were on the sidelines, and started talking about when he used to watch me play soccer, and we talked to my dad on this podcast about it. He can never be a coach. I can never be a coach, just because kind of our temperament, the way because he was stunned about how many breaks they got. It's an hour practice, right? Right. They'd practice for 5 minutes. All right, water break. And then we'd come off for water break. And you go, what the fuck? What are they coming for water break for? Been after 5 minutes. This is a water break, a half hour into it, and then that's it. And then at the end, you get like, and growing up, we got oranges to suck
I
on
remember.
at halftime.
Yes.
You
Did
know?
you remember being dead tired, but everybody ran off for those oranges?
Oh my God.
I mean, you love those oranges, slices. And it was one parent's job that weekend to cut the oranges.
It's always some parents that had not so good oranges. You know, like who's bringing oranges today?
You're like, I'll bring it too.
So a parent, older parent, he's in like late 60s. He's got like a 4-year-old. He goes, "Hey guys, I got pizza at the end. Now, what's your take on pizza and athletics?"
Yeah.
Like
No, we did like the pizza party was the end of the season. It was like the rah-rah.
This guy's doing it
It's just like on the field.
I was like,
Like it was somebody's birthday.
yeah, no, this guy's got, I got pizza coming. Don't leave. I got pizza coming. And I got, it's all right. Once practice is over, I'm one of these parents that I'm in the car before the balls are off the field. You know what I'm saying? Gone. So, and there's another thing I've noticed: the amount of equipment parents today are now bringing to an event. Right? We used to go, and my parents either stood on the sideline,
Right.
or if they wanted to sit, they would sit on the grass.
Right.
This guy, and you've had to see this at your kids' soccer, but do you ever see this like cocoon they come in? It's like almost like a covered pod where there's a seat, but then there's like
Yeah.
like just God forbid it rains or it's the sun. They're trying to protect themselves. They're in this like capsule.
Mm-hmm.
There's blankets they're putting down. It's a full setup.
Yeah.
Are you one of these parents? Or
No, but I'm jealous of it because, and it's gone through a progression, right? First of all, even when I bring a chair, I'm the guy, I pace the sideline back and forth. I can't sit because I feel like I'm part of the game. I'm part of the game. Yeah. And then it started with like, right, we sat on the ground. Then it was like, all right, I get like a lawn chair, one of those just foldables. Then you realize with the foldables, but when the sun's in your eyes, you need something over. Everybody's got something fancy. So then on Amazon, I got one that had, it just popped up a canopy. Well, the problem with the canopy is it's great if the sun's behind you, but when the sun's on the opposite side of the field, it does nothing. That's where I stopped but other people have amazing chairs, like you said, with a full-blown visor and cup holders, and then they bring the tent that goes over top. I mean, it's amazing stuff.
So I used to make fun of those people.
Yeah. Now you're one of those people?
I went to my first practice, and again, I'm an older dad. I'm sitting there standing and watching. I go, hey, my back hurts, just standing. So I went to Amazon. And I got these little pod chairs. It's just like a little chair.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you, man, and I could see this really getting comfortable as the kids grow older. I'm gonna have a beautiful setup. I'm gonna have a little house on the sideline.
But you don't have the visor yet.
I don't have the visor
You're
yet.
Need it. It gets hot out there.
Yeah, I could definitely see the visor coming into play somewhere down the road. However, I think I might do a full
charcuterie board.
Well, I've done that. I've actually, to make friends, because I'm not easy to make friends with.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you bring food, automatically you become very popular on the sideline. For our kids' first soccer practice, I brought a cheese and meat board from Dom's and wine.
Oh, wow.
To a 3-year-old soccer. It's not even a practice. It's like a free-for-all. I brought wine, boxed wine, and the charcuterie and a meat board. And I got to tell you, people were like, what? This is great, right? Next week, what did we do? Lana had gotten it. I think it was pizza and wine.
Wow.
So I told Lana the third week, I go, let's hold off on this. I want to see if anybody else kicks in.
We had a parent, we had a parent do margaritas.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice touch.
And it was 8 a.m. Saturday morning, and honestly, favorite person in the world. And then that became a thing. We brought Prosecco one morning. It was just alcohol.
This is
alcohol
breakfast.
Oh, it was breakfast.
Wow.
But I gotta tell you the craziest story. I didn't know this was gonna come up. So this past Sunday's game. All right, these are 15-year-old girl club soccer. They're playing another team, and the way they set it up now is that we're on one side, our players and our parents are on one side, and the other side is the other team and the other parents. So the parents are separate. Used to be that all parents were like one side of the field and all the players on the other. At this field, it was opposite for whatever reason. Playing the game, it was a very well-matched game. Girls were playing great. It was not overly aggressive in a unusual way. Nobody was taking cheap shots. The refs were doing a great job calling everything. Nothing out of the normal. About 5 minutes left in the first half. It's a 0-0 tie, and we see the ref go over to the other parents and hold up a yellow card. So one of the parents was mouthing off. You can't hear, they're the other side of the field. You just see the person's mouth still moving. He lifts up, red card, kicks the parent out. Now, when you red card a parent during a game, the parent has to leave the field. So you have to watch the parent leave walk all the way down the field, go to the parking lot. And the whole time that person's jibber-jabbering the whole way. So he does that. And then another parent starts. Ref holds up another red card, kicks two parents out right off the bat. Now, meanwhile, the girls are standing there, right? Because we're in the middle of the game. So he goes to halftime 5 minutes early because he sees it's getting a little crazy. So go to halftime. During halftime, we see him red card another parent. Okay? We're like, what is going on? So 3 parents kicked out by the end of halftime. So again, second half goes, girls are playing well. No issues with the girls on the field, which is why we're there. Like nobody's yelling at anybody, nobody's, shouldering anybody in a mean way. And it's a 0-0, and now there's 10 minutes left in the game. And the left wing of the other team and our right defender sort of take a 50-50 ball, and their player goes down screaming in pain. And before anything can happen, their parents start rushing the field to attack the referee. The coach being one of them. We couldn't believe it. So at first we're like, what's going on?
Well, again, I'm sorry to interrupt the story.
Yeah.
Is this club soccer?
This is club soccer.
School?
This is club soccer. This is high level soccer. You have to try out. You got to get picked for the team. There's different clubs throughout LA. It's an honor to be on these clubs. First of all, parents have to be role models. What are you showing your girls? So this girl's on the ground, and our coach was amazing. Went to check on the child, and then to try to nicely talk to the coach and tell everybody just sort of back up. And then because I'm the only pediatrician there, I went over to see if the girl's okay, talk to the parents. So I'm on the ground tending to the girl. There's like a mob around. I'm yelling, please everybody back up. Let's just let this girl, let's tend to this girl. And you just hear screaming. And I mean, it's really bad. So bad that Aaron, my wife, sees one of the refs on the bench. He's like a 22-year-old kid. This kid probably gets paid $8 for this game. And he's like almost teary-eyed. She's like, are you okay? He's like, no, I was punched and I was kicked in the balls by one of the parents. Okay? The police get called.
Oh, Jesus.
The police get called to come because the other team, basically, to make a claim, the other team is absolutely ludicrous. The girls are off to the side, nothing with the girls. Our parents staying put, and the team is going absolutely crazy, threatening these coaches threatening the refs what they're gonna do to them in the parking lot. I'll be waiting for you. Basically assaulting one of the refs, all this stuff. And this is a girls' soccer game, and boys' soccer game. It doesn't matter. The point is, I was like, what's your end point here? You got to be a role model for your girls, and you're teaching them that violence is the way. And then what? You're going to end up in jail because you didn't like a call? And this is absolutely ridiculous. And then a notice went out yesterday from their league. They're in a different league, that the team was kicked out. They're no longer in the league. The coach has been suspended. It's the worst incident that they've ever had. Can you imagine?
So yeah, this is where it's going with a lot of these.
There's been a rise of this.
Yeah, and where no one wants to be a referee anymore. A lot of these parents have gotten so hostile and violent when it comes to these games. But you, as a pediatrician tending to this girl, was it anything, or was it just like a bump?
No, I think what happened is I think she got hit in like toward the stomach. I think she lost her breath. It was very scary. And then because when you cry and you scream and you can't catch your breath, it's even scarier. And then I think on top of it, the mob scene around her screaming and threatening was probably very scary on top of it. I think it escalated. I did a brief exam. I talked to the parents. I gave them instructions on when to go to the emergency room, because you always think of, there are rare circumstances. You know, you think about handlebar injuries where kids are riding their bike and they, go over the handlebar. And if that handlebar hits hard enough in the abdomen, you can lacerate an organ, you can do things like that. So all these things are in your head. They're not common. But we spoke with the family the following day, or I talked to a family that knew this family, and they had sent out a message to their team saying she was doing better. She was just sore. Everything was fine. So that's the most important thing. This child was okay, and nothing dirty was done. It was a fair play. But this family was just waiting, and the fact that they had already gotten 3 red cards and kicked out, they were just waiting for something.
I want to talk about losing your breath, because it happened to me as a kid. Is there any advice you could give to our listeners of when you lose your breath, and don't get too technical on it? Is there an exercise or something that you could do to regain, or is that something that just like, oh, okay, I'm back? What actually happens?
Yeah, you just really have to, the most important thing is you have to stay calm, because the more worked up you get, you can't fill your lungs. You can't get the air in. So you panic, and then it's harder. So what we usually just say, you try to calm the person down, put their arms over their head to relax them, also increase the volume here and calm down. And usually it just resolves on its own. Okay. Yeah. But it's scary. You ever lose your breath? I mean, it's like, right. It's really, really scary. And I think the commotion of it all, but I just can't. We came home and I just couldn't believe that parents are acting this way in this day and age with everything going on in the world. Like this is what we're attacking people about, a soccer game. And again, you have to be a role model, but I think you're right. It's unfortunately happening more and more. I don't remember this as a child, but I'm hearing these stories more and more around athletics, kids athletics.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of it growing up. And I don't know if I had shared the story on a past podcast, but I remember playing traveling soccer. We were on a team called the Strikers. I was, not to my own horn, but I was pretty fabulous. But we played a team from Wheeling, and every time we played them, we were scared because this was under 14. They had a kid, and I think his name was Hoon Tron.
Wow. Right? I mean, you're like a robot. You should be great.
This guy had to be 28 years old. There's no way this kid was 14, right? Yeah. He played center, forward, and his brother played center back. And both of them were fucking grown men. Grown ass men, and mean. And we feel like they recruited these guys out of a semi-pro league to play under 14. And we often complain that there's no way these kids are
like, oh, we don't have his birth certificate. I got lost in a fire.
It's like that Cuban kid that was playing baseball. Maybe he was like a pitcher in the Little League World Series, but he had like a beard.
Right. We lost it. We don't keep birth certificates. Exactly.
So it's amazing what parents will do to win these games. And at 4 years old, Caruso's running around. There's no spacing. Everybody's running around after the ball. And I felt myself getting a little hot on the sidelines. Not hot, but like the kid's name on Caruso's team was Leonardo. I start calling him Leo from the sidelines. I never met this kid.
Yeah.
I just heard his name was Leonardo, and I'm like, all right, I'm calling this kid Leo. So he makes a slide tackle, and I get up out of my chair. Way to go, Leo. Way to go. He looked at me like, who the hell is this asshole? So when you're in youth sports and a parent, are you screaming to only your child to do better? Or let's say a kid on Aubrey's team, her name is Julie, and she misses a slide tackle. Do you come on, Julie? Are you allowed to scream at other kids?
You really shouldn't. You're really not supposed to yell at anybody. You let the coach do the coaching. We've been told many times. It's really hard as a parent just to keep your mouth shut. I have a hard time doing it. And if I do yell, it's usually at Aubrey. Hopefully it's more encouragement than, but no, I don't evoke other players' names because that's not my job.
Okay. At halftime, are you allowed to go over to Aubrey and go, Aubrey, listen?
No.
You can't take her on her side?
No. And when that happens, because that's happened where you'll see, a child go to their parents' stuff, the coach will tell them, everybody over here, halftime in a nice way, but no. Real game time, you do not talk to your child. From warm up before game to the game is over, you have no interaction. No, it's the coach's time. I know you'd want to look. This is. I noticed you did this.
Yeah, I'm saying when you go after the ball, go on the right side because
it's the coach's job. And then there gets resentment because even when I do that after the game, Dad, I know, she knows. I'm saying it more for myself than anybody else, probably.
Yeah,
it's a hard thing.
Yeah, I mean, but like LeBron James goes to see his kid, right? Now, at halftime, if LeBron goes over to Bronny,
I think they let him do whatever he wants, right? Of course,
the coach,
right? And if I was Messi and I walked over to the team and I said, "Hey guys, so I think it would be allowed." So but I have no nothing
so
to stand on.
So you're saying a pediatrician knows nothing about center back.
Pediatrician dressed as Ken. Maybe if I was soccer Ken, I would go there and no.
Yeah, I think these youth athletics have and I don't know what these parents are ultimately trying to do. Are they trying to get their kid a scholarship? Is this just for the fun of playing soccer? Yeah. Because I could see like when Caruso, even though he's 4 and he gets a good run on the ball, I'm not looking at him going, oh my God, this kid's going to the World Cup.
Right.
I'm just going, I'm excited that he's excited about it.
Right.
Or,
I think people get heated. We all live vicariously through our children, right? Statistically, none of these kids are going to the highest level, right? I mean, look how people get around NFL football team, their football team in the stands, starting fights over a team that they have they're 250 pounds drinking beer and they're upset because the running back and starting fights in a stand. And then on top of it, it's your own kid. This is where it's going. It's crazy to me though. You're going to fight over that's crazy.
I'm noticing a lot of these fights at games that there is a woman involved in the fight, right? Like,
how so? Like just talking?
Not talking. Just I've noticed there's always 2 guys fighting, but there's always a woman there going, yeah. And I feel, because we never see how the fight starts, right? But I feel a lot of these fights start because the woman is talking, either talk to the guy, tell him like, listen, I tell my wife when we go out, I go, don't be mouthing off to anybody. Like if we're at the movies, right?
Right.
Don't ask the person in front to be quiet because I'm going to have to fight.
Right. Yeah. And also you don't know who has a knife these days.
Yeah.
Gun.
I just like whatever's going on, just leave it be because I feel like a lot of this stuff is instigated by, hey, sit down. And then the guy's eating popcorn, right? And then next thing you know, he's like, what's going on? And then the guy's going, "You want to fucking go, bro?" And he's like, well, "What do you?" Right?
You're like, I don't know her.
He's like, "Oh no, I just got my popcorn." And next thing you know, the guy's in a wheelchair blowing himself around.
Were you ever in a fight as a kid? Have you ever been in a fight?
No, I've never been in a
Have you ever been
knockdown.
punched?
Not where I'll go, "Oh, that hurt." And I don't know if I told you this on a podcast or I've told it on an interview, but Mark Wright, 3rd grade.
Love that you remember names, ages. I was 28 years old.
Yeah, because this is a big moment for me.
Yeah.
I lipped off in class, or he lipped off to me, but I kind of, and I was a really quiet kid, but I kind of gave it back to him. I go, "I ain't doing that." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you want to fight after school?" After school was like, it was never in the moment back then.
Yeah.
It was after school. And I said, "I can't fight you, Mark."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "What do you mean you can't fight me?" I said, "I got my nice slacks on. And if I get them dirty, my father's going to kill me. So it's not you that I'm scared of. It's my dad."
Oh,
Right?
wow.
And he backed off.
You're already.
He never even heard of
so
such a thing.
intellectually above everybody in 3rd grade
Yeah,
that you came up with that excuse.
Man, a kid can't fight because he don't want to fuck up his clothing. I mean,
That's impressive.
I would highly recommend that to any kid out there that doesn't want to get in a fight. Just blame it on your blazer. Have you? I feel like you were.
Why? Because I just have that face.
Nah,
No, I've never been in a fight. Fights really scare me. I feel like when I see a fight, I get very, I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good.
Well, I think half of that is because you're weak. I just think you grew up studying what, like the periodic table,
Something like that.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like you weren't even around people
I
that
probably
fought.
would not be good in a fight, right? I was just never around anybody. I've never been like really firsthand in like a fist. You always just hear these stories, people fist fighting. I was never around that.
I feel the smarter kids in school are not around an element that they're going to be scrapping.
Yeah.
I was one of these kids where I was like not smart,
Mm-hmm.
not dumb. So I had my feet in both areas. So I was kind of with the dummies and I was kind of with the smart kids. So there was an element where this kid, Tony, I remember him being violent. And I was in that kind of group just because, I feel like if you're smart, you're just over here. You're doing stuff that the rest of the students ain't even doing, right? Like at recess, you were like, I feel like when they called recess, you didn't want to go out and play.
No,
you wanted to be.
No. I played
studying.
sports. No. I played all the sports.
I can't see.
But I,
what did you play?
I was captain of the swim team. I swam.
Sports. I mean, that's
Michael Phelps is an athlete.
Yeah, he's an athlete, but I'm just saying, like
swam.
when
I swam. I played soccer and lacrosse.
Okay.
Okay.
There's some sports.
Yeah.
If
But
you're hanging your head on swimming,
swimming, it's a lot.
it's a lot.
It is.
But again, you're not like fighting in a swimming pool. Like you're not fighting the
for
guy.
air.
You're fighting for air, but you're not looking across the pool going, "You want to go?" It's like that sport.
No, you didn't. But I was bullied. There was this kid, Danny, all through junior high, and he had a Napoleon complex. He was a tiny dude. He did it to me because he knew he could, and I didn't retaliate ever. And every time I saw him in the hallway, whenever I pass him, he'd punch me in the arm and make a comment. Just punch me in the arm like that, You're walking on your toes, like punch. So I would purposely in my head like avoid, and I think about it a lot. Never did anything. Always talk to myself like, I'm just going to punch this kid back. Like, enough is enough. He's like half my size. And I ran into him. It's probably been 10 years because I grew up in Maryland. I ran into him at Starbucks on Sunset about 10 years ago before work. And I was like, he walked right up. I was, Danny? Same thing. The guy's like probably 5'1", 5'2". And in my head, I was like, God, I just want to tell him, like, you remember all those times? I want to clock you. He's like, oh, how you doing? Like nothing had ever happened.
Do you think he remembers though? Or he was doing that to so many kids that he don't even remember who was in the.
I probably be like, all those years you like punched me in the arm, and can I just punch you right now? But no, I don't know. And that was it.
I have a fear of my own anger. I have a fear that if I ever did haul off, like if that was happening to me in school where I was getting punched on a daily basis, the time I retaliate, right? I hit the kid so hard, he dies. Right? This is my fear. You ever see like somebody
like Mike Tyson knockout?
Yeah. And the person loses consciousness and they just fall back, hit their head, and they die 3 hours later. And
you go to jail.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, I'm all rise and I'm being sentenced. That's my luck.
But did you have that inner voice? So I think that kept me out of things, honestly. So I always thought when I was like in high school, like I would be the one, if I tried drugs once, I'm not talking hardcore, like if I smoked pot once, I'd be the guy that died from it.
Yeah.
I always thought if I had sex, I'm getting HIV. Like it was always in my head. Nobody told me that. It just was in my head. And honestly, then I never did anything.
Yeah. I had a fear of pregnant, getting a girl pregnant.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, the time I do it, I'm going to get a girl pregnant.
Everybody else, no problem.
Yes. Yeah, everybody has no problem. People that I feel like, I got friends that don't even have an inner voice, that if somebody brushes them, they right away they react and they go.
It's go time.
It's go time. Next thing you know,
Ding!
boom, boom, boom.
It's just crazy.
And the guy, right? And I'm like, what? Get off. And the kid's like, oh, he snaps out of it. I've always filtered my thoughts going, all right, yeah, would I want to do something? I'm not going to do something. If he beats the shit out of me, then he beats the shit out of me.
Right.
I've never but
thought also now, there's a lot to lose. That's what I wonder. Like the people who are doing this, like, are you not worried about losing whatever is important to you? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, this kid growing up in school, he had, it's funny. You kind of see where kids are going at an early age. Mm-hmm. Like the kids that were in your fourth grade that were troublemakers. Do you know where they are? Like,
I visit one every week at the upstate. No, I just
don't. I think if you're beating the shit out of kids and you're in fourth grade, chances are, like, I saw this guy.
It's not going well.
I saw this guy that I grew up with working at this pizzeria years later. Not to say that people who make pizza are troublemakers, but it wasn't his own pizzeria. He was he's like Nick Cage in like Moonstruck, like, like with half a hand in the back, slaving on. I go, okay, that makes sense because at fourth grade, and he didn't look happy, and it was like, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And he's like,
face, right?
One of those. I think you kind of know, and I'm telling Lana, I'm really good at perception and looking at somebody and going, kid ain't good, kid ain't. Something like kids are coming to your pediatric practice. Mm-hmm. Can you tell within a minute? Oh, well behaved. Oh, problem kid. Yeah, you can tell, right?
Yeah, you can tell.
Okay,
you can tell.
So it's not like
you also, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, that too.
Sometimes from the parents before you even know from the child.
Yeah. Well, interesting conversation here. I don't know if you guys were piping.
And that's your Thanksgiving episode.
We started with Thanksgiving traditions, and the next thing you know, we were on beating the shit out of kids. But interesting conversation here on Daddy versus Doctor. Again, I'm pleading for you guys out there, for those who are watching, and I met a woman. I didn't even tell you this.
Okay.
I met a woman. I don't know your name. I know you're a loyal listener. And God, I'm bad with names, but she introduced herself at Italy on the top deck. My family was
restaurant.
Yeah, was having a dinner there, early dinner one night, and she came up. She's like, "Oh, I'm a huge fan of the Daddy versus Doctor podcast.
Nice.
I watch it every week. You know who you are. Shout out to her. Tell your friends. To watch Daddy versus Doctor. We're looking for 5 shares a week here, and if we get 5 shares a week by the end of the December, and I've heard this from multiple sources, that we will have a deal bigger than Joe Rogan's at Spotify.
There we go.
There you have it. That's not true, but hey, it's nice to dream.
The opinions expressed in this program are not intended as professional medical advice, as a diagnosis, as a treatment protocol, or as a substitute for professional medical advice from your physician. Please consider your own medical history and consult with your own physician for your specific healthcare and/or medical needs and about your concerns for yourself and your family.